All right, guys, so I want to go over a couple of things with your Roanoke theories and how you're going to present them. Again, you're not going to actually have to present them to the class. It's just basically what choice you're going to make in order to give me your theory or tell us your theory. So if you guys look, one of the resources that I gave to you was on a Google Sheets, and it's a checklist of the things that we would like to see in your theory. These are going to be important parts that we're going to be grading for. So we gave you this checklist. We explained what we're looking for. And I'm going to provide an example for you with my own theory that you're not allowed to use because it's kind of a crazy theory, but I'll be able to explain what we're looking for. So the first thing you got to do is you need to state your theory. What do you think happened to these colonists? Why weren't we able to find them? You've got to have one piece of evidence that actually supports your claim. You guys tell us where that evidence came from. And then you have to explain why that evidence actually supports your theory. No matter what choice you make, you have to do all of those things when you are talking about your theory. Once you've done that with your first piece of evidence, you'll then do that with your second piece of evidence, a lot like what you were supposed to do with your Columbus arguments. So then the last thing, you're just going to kind of conclude it with your final statements to round out your theory. So the example that I'm going to show you guys is that I believe aliens abducted the colonists. So again, pretty crazy theory, but it's the one that I'm going to choose to use. Sorry, I had all of it up. I thought it would be. Okay. So if you look at my checklist here, you're not required to use this, but this will help you kind of keep track and make sure that you've hit every part. So you guys see the checklist. So as you're going through, you can make sure that you've gotten all of these parts. You can interact with it and check it off as you do it. I left these areas blank for you to take your own notes. So this part is not required, but it might help you as if you're say trying to do the flip grid. This is going to give you kind of a good visual as you're talking to make sure that you've got all the parts you need. You might fill this out to plan out your paragraph or paragraphs if that is what you're doing for your theory. And you can also use this to plan out your slides presentation. All right, so this is the theory that I've come up with. I've got the theory that the colonists were abducted by aliens. And that's why we were never be able to find them or their descendants. And the evidence that I'm going to use is the word Croatoan that was written on the tree. And that came from clue 1. And this is where I'm explaining, because Croatoan can mean so many things. You need to explain how it supports your theory. So with my theory, I'm saying that the colonists didn't know that the aliens were watching them. And when the aliens realize that these humans are isolated, nobody's coming back for them, they see their chance and they go and abduct the colonists. They leave Croatoan in the tree because they knew that the Croatoan Indians lived really close to them, and they wanted the humans to believe that, the colonists just went to go live with the natives, or that the natives attacked them or something. They just wanted to leave something super vague so that nobody would catch on and believe that aliens actually existed. I think that the Dare Stones further explain this because they wanted to, the whole point is here, we're trying to throw humanity off of the scent. We don't want humans to believe we exist. So they made sure to just leave just enough clues to kind of throw people off. And the Dare Stones kind of create this perfect story. It comes from clue 5. They use Eleanor Dare's name and likability because she was John White's daughter, and then Virginia Dare is also mentioned in the stone, the first American born. So we're using people that we know or that they know, and so that people believe that this is actually true. They weren't just some no-name colonists. So the aliens were, again, using these very vague clues in order to throw humanity off the scent. They don't want humans to know that they exist. They see their opportunity to abduct so they can learn more about people. So in conclusion, I think that the evidence I've provided shows that it is very likely that the aliens abducted these colonists and never returned them to Earth. And they left those limited clues so that we would kind of be searching, but we would never actually catch on to the fact that it was really just the aliens. So obviously that's a pretty crazy theory, which is why I wouldn't expect you guys to use it. But I wanted to point out the fact that I used evidence, maybe even evidence that you might use as well, such as the Dare Stones or the word Croatoan. But I went and I explained how those two pieces of evidence actually proved my theory. Now, you might think I'm wrong, but I got to at least come off as convincing. At least you can kind of make that connection that it was this big cover up from the aliens. So that is what we're looking for. We want to see you go and explain how your evidence supports your actual theory, right? You can't use any of those crazy ones. I would stick with the normal, assimilated with the natives, moved to a new location, died of disease. You want to stick with those more commonly accepted ones, but I figured I would use that as an example to show you what we mean by you can use evidence, any type of evidence, to try to back up your theory or your claim. If you wanted to do the flip grid, this is what you guys will do as students. You've got this Roanoke theory. You'll have actions, and you'll be able to record a response. So when you record your response, so when you go to record your response, this is the screen that's going to pop up. You're going to see that you have lots of options. You can, do this on your own, on a YouTube video if you'd like. You can record your screen like I do a lot of the time when I'm giving a presentation to you guys. There's some effects if you don't want me to see your face. I've had people put emojis over them. They've used a board. They use photos. There's all types of things that you can use. You can even change your filters a bit to be whatever you would like. But I'm going to present screen because this is an option that you have where you can make a kind of like a slides presentation that maybe just has pictures to make your video a little interesting, and you wouldn't have to actually be in it. So you can do start screen recording, and you've got the choice of your entire screen, an application window, or a Chrome tab. I already have the presentation I want to use, which is just slides with 3 pictures on it, in a Chrome tab. So I'm going to click on this, and I know that it's under this. This is what I've named it. So I'm going to share that in my video. And it's going to tell me I can maximize it, or I can keep it half and half if you still want to use your notes to the side. It's not going to let me screen record right now because I'm creating a video with a screen recorder already. But what's going to happen is that slideshow is going to pop up in your screen, and then you can just go in and explain your theory. You don't have to do it that way. I had made this presentation to where, I was just going to have these images up as I was presenting. I was going to use that when I talked about Croatoan. And then I was just going to end with, again, these are kind of silly options, but that is pretty much what we are looking for when it comes to your video, if you wanted to do the flip grid. But as far as your argument goes in general, those are also the things that we're looking for. So I wanted to let you guys see what that was all about. Again, you don't have to do the sharing of your screen for the flip grid. You could just do what I did in the beginning of the video and record yourself explaining your theory. Make sure that you're doing it in good detail. You can add whatever effects you would like, but just make sure that you have all of those elements to your theory. Let me know if you have any other questions.